Hello, and welcome to Good News That Actually Is, where 3 to 5 sets you free to thrive. 3 to 5 minute encouragements to help your joy by empowering your soul. I am your host, Tim Atchley. Peter got this right when he stated in 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 5, but also for this very reason, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue. Virtue in the Greek actually means manliness or valor. You remember Gideon had hidden himself away? And God came to him in his hiding? And he said, "Rise up, O mighty man of valor." Heaven was seeing Gideon one way. Gideon was seeing himself a different way. He had to get in contact with the way God was looking at him. Once he did, he could do what God was calling him to do. You can't do what God is calling you to do until you can see who he says you are. You will never do what God has determined for you to do in this life until you can get to that place you can see who he says you are. You know what virtue is? It's living differently than the status quo. I probably need to say that one again. Yep. Virtue is living differently than the status quo. You're not making your decisions based on what the world thinks. You're not doing life based on what's popular in society. You're not thinking and acting and determining things based on the experts of this world. You are reliant upon the wisdom of your Father. You're reliant on the leadership and the guidance and the power of the Holy Spirit in your life. Because you have access to that as a new creation. You have access to something that nobody in this world without Christ can access. Amen. They can't get to it. Right. You possess it. But sadly, many in the church are not accessing it. Because many in the church are looking at the mirror and seeing the wrong image. Virtue is of great benefit when it is added to faith. But it's a stumbling block if someone tries to add faith to virtue. Come on, brother. Yes. You don't have faith by reason of your virtue. We diligently are admonished to seek to add virtue because of our faith. Not to get faith. Right. Faith always produces an action. Always. Abraham, because he believed God, knew what he needed to do. He had to leave his old country and kindred and their ways of doing things to go where God would lead him. In other words, 2 Corinthians 5:17, the old things passed away. You realize in Abraham's time, once he journeyed afar off, it would have been too involved for him to try to go back. Right. He would have spent too much of his life trying to get back what he left behind. But I see a lot of believers who are doing that. They're trying to get back what they left behind. They reminisce over the unsaved days. And it doesn't make sense to me why anyone would want to reminisce over the unsaved days, because they were not glorious. They were foolish. They were filled with stupidity and ignorance. Come on. Can't we be a little bit honest? How many other had lives filled with stupidity and ignorance before they came to Christ? How many have slipped into a little bit of that stupidity and ignorance since you came to Christ? How many would admit that it was when you were looking at the wrong image in the mirror?
Yes, every time.
Every single time. That's why it happened, right? Now, Abraham went on a journey of relationship with God purely based on the belief that God was the only true God and that God would show him where to go and what to do. Abraham had no maps. He couldn't open an encyclopedia and find out what was in the land several hundred miles away. He couldn't take a perspectives course and learn a culture he was going to encounter in another place. Do you understand? Abraham did this without any hint of a clue of what he might encounter when he went. He had absolutely no idea what he would experience or encounter. All he had to go on is he had encountered God, the only true living God, and he was reliant upon that God in the belief that he had the highest wisdom, the best ways, and therefore could be trusted. Thanks for tuning in today. Never forget that you are loved by a faithful God whose obedient Son, Jesus Christ, willingly died on a cross so that you can live today and always from the abundance of his life in you. Please subscribe and share this with others so that they too can experience the 3 to 5 that sets you free to thrive. And be sure to tune in next time to Good News That Actually Is. Please visit us at our website, goodnewsthatactuallyis.com. There you'll find transcripts of the program, video files, and other opportunities. We look forward to visiting with you there and ask you to subscribe. Have a great day.